Dude, it just happened. Trump went full masks off. Normally he would blur the lines, bloat his messages, or straight up avoid a conversation or a topic. But this time he brought the full bag.
Does that include a potential strike on Iranian nuclear facilities?
Of course it does.
Now his take on Iran's nuclear weapons programs is understandable in two categories for me. Number one, he wants the USA to stay on top. Not necessarily because he likes the USA as a whole, but currently he wants to abuse the USA's power. So having another nuclear power in the balance sheet is probably something he doesn't like. Point number two, the more nuclear weapons are on the field, the more likely they are to be used or in conflicts, or to say it differently, the more players have the technology, the more likely they are to use them.
Just a follow-up question, a clarification. You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What, do you think there's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in.
So, what really is new here? You constantly hear lefties or Democrats say he's a fascist or that he wants to turn the USA into a dictatorship, where the Republicans are denying that and say that Trump has a greater plans to rebalance the world and focus more power to the USA. Well, this time Trump has claimed to be the most cognizant and healthy person he can be.
And by the way, I took my cognitive exam as part of my physical exam, and I got the highest mark in one.
And now Donald Trump wants to deport not just illegal immigrants, but also wants to deport US-born citizens that help those illegal immigrants. To make the picture more clear, we need to step 2 steps back. First, Trump declared war against Venezuela in his declaration of MS-13, or was it 15, being a terrorist group, and even goes as far as saying that this terrorist group infiltrated the Venezuelan government. So now he can use the Enemy Aliens Act to deport Venezuelan people from the US of A. Let's hope I don't butcher his name too much. Kilma Abrego Garcia got deported under the suspicion of being part of that named terrorist group. The problem in this case is that Trump's assigned executive branch of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, in short ICE, did not have any hard evidence to detain or deport this man. This is especially highlighted in a recent court case where the lawyer could not even show any filings of his case, of his deportation. That we, to this day, do not know the detainment center he was even in. But we do know that when a lawyer tried to find out where his client was, the information got denied to his lawyer. But the Alien Enemies Act especially allows for a short court case where the accused can try to prove his innocence and the accuser can showcase their case of them being part of that terrorist group. But ICE did not do any of those things. They didn't even inform Mr. Garcia of these rights. In fact, they have only brought forth more evidence that they have skipped these 2 small steps. And now Trump wants to use this process against people that helped or might have helped such individuals, just under the suspicion of having helped an illegal immigrant or a terrorist group. You might get deported from the US of A, even so you have a fully fledged, born and raised in the USA citizenship. To be continued. Also, here are the full context clips, since I only use these small ones at the start to So the foundation of my thing here, and now you get to see the full clips. Enjoy.
Very low IQ president. And by the way, I took my cognitive exam as part of my physical exam, and I got the highest mark, and one of the doctors said, "Sir, I've never seen anybody get that was the highest mark." I hope you're happy with that, although they haven't been bugging me too much to take a cognitive, but I did do my physical and it was released. I hope you're all happy with it. I noticed there's no question, so probably you are. But the cognitive, they said to me, "Sir, would you like to take a cognitive test?" I said, "Did Biden take one?" "No." "Did anybody take one?" "No, not too many people took them." I said, what about Obama? Did he take one?" "No, he didn't take one either." I said, "Let me be the only one to take one." But I've actually taken them 3 times already. I like taking them because they're not too tough for me to take. But we had a great physical exam, so I knew you were going to ask that. And the doctors, who are total professionals, Walter Reed Medical Center, they're great people. And I visited a soldier that was badly wounded, incredible soldier, lost his leg, and spent a lot of time with him. I mean, great with his mother, and it was really a very great thing. They do a phenomenal job. I just want to say, Walter Reed, I was there for, 5-6 hours. You were there with me. But I took a full physical, and it came out perfecto, so that's good. You've got me for a little longer.
Would the U.S. be willing to pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something. We'd help them out, yeah. We help them. They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and your prison, how you have to behave.
Mr. President, businesses
Any-
want clarity. How
Who else?
separate are those businesses?
Go ahead, please.
You said yesterday that you're making a decision on Iran very quickly.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Is that a decision?
Well, they have to solve their problem very quickly. Iran wants to deal with us, but they don't know how. They really don't know how. We had a meeting with them on Saturday. We have another meeting scheduled next Saturday. I said, that's a long time. That's a long time. So I think they might be tapping us along. But Iran has to get rid of the concept of a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. He can't have a nuclear weapon. Nobody can have. We can't have anybody having nuclear weapons. We can't have nuclear weapons. And I think they're tapping us along because we're so used to dealing with stupid people in this country. And I had Iran perfect. You had no attacks. You would have never had October 7th in Israel, the attack by Hamas. Because Iran was broke. They were stone cold broke when I was president. And I don't want to do that. I want them to be a rich, great nation. The only thing is, one thing, simple. It's really simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And they got to go fast because they're fairly close to having one. And they're not going to have one. And if we have to do something very harsh, we'll do it. And I'm not doing it for us. I'm doing it for the world. And these are radicalized people, and they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Does that include a potential strike on Iranian nuclear facilities?
Of course it does.
And just a follow-up question, a clarification. You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens or criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What do you think? There's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in. We have bad ones too, and I'm all for it because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security. And we have a huge prison population. We have a huge number of prisons, and then we have the private prisons, and some are operated well, I guess, and some aren't. But he does a great job with that. We have others that we're negotiating with too. But no, if it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. Now, we're studying the laws right now. Pam is studying. If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people. Every bit as bad as the ones coming in. And I made the statement when I heard about this a long time ago now, 4 years ago. When I heard that this guy was having open borders, I said every single criminal from all over the world is going to be dumped into our country. And that's what happened. The jails of the Congo were emptied out. The jails of Venezuela were emptied out. And you know what happened? Their crime went way down. But now Venezuela has other problems. You know what the problem is? They have no money. Because I shut off their oil and we put secondary tariffs because they're not doing what's right over there. They know what to do. We spoke to them, I spoke to them. They know what to do. But they have no money. Venezuela has no money. But Iran had no money. And Iran behaved so beautifully. And then Biden took all those secondary tariffs and tariffs on. I told China, you can't buy oil. If you buy oil from Iran, China, I told it to President Xi, then we no longer want you to do business with the United States of America. And those ships disappeared from that harbor so quickly. China. Get along great with China.
Are the talks with Iran productive? Do you want to continue that? The talks with Iran, do you believe those are productive? Do you want to continue that?
I think Iran could be a great country as long as it doesn't have nuclear weapons. If they have nuclear weapons, they'll never get a chance to be a great country. They will never get a chance. It won't even come close.
Sir, on